Hello families, thank you so much for meeting with me today. My name is Elisa and I work for OWCAP. One of my favorite topics we're going to be talking about today is money management. I feel like money management isn't really taught in our schools or really taught in the home. So by the time I became an adult, free to do as I pleased, I ended up falling into many money traps such as debt, not overspending, not understanding how to leverage my money, much less how to manage it, which is why I want to go over these tips with you today. I feel that if we could build a good foundation of money management, it would really help set you guys off in the right direction and make things easier, save you some money. And there's so many methods out there. But today we're going to be talking about what has worked for me and what has worked for some of my clients in the past. Step 1, tracking your expenses, balancing your income. So you take all of the income that you earn on a monthly basis and you want to make sure that it can cover all of your expenses. Now, if you owe or you're in debt, or let's just say that you are trying to save for a down payment on a house, or you want to leverage your money so that you can start an investment, or you want to open up a business, make sure that your income can cover all of your expenses and then some. You always want to pay yourself first. And so you want to be saving anywhere from 10 to 20% of your income. Now that you know how much money you have coming in, you want to look at your monthly bank statement. You want to cancel anything that you may not need, and this may require making some sacrifices in order for you to reach your financial goals. This could be cutting down on things like cable or internet. Just go through and write down everything that you spend, and I promise that you will find something that you can cut back on. Step 2, paying down your debt. So once you have found some extra funds from the cutbacks that you made, or maybe you decided that you were going to get a part-time or temporary job, you want to start paying with the smallest debt first and then slowly work your way up to the highest debt. Now, this will vary depending on the type of debt and your interest rate. Step 3, building your savings plan. The 3-step saving plan is one of my favorite plans to teach. And the way it works is you want to have 3 different types of savings account. Now, before you guys look at me like I'm crazy and think I barely have 1 savings account, how can I have 3? So what we do is we take that 1 savings and we divide it into 3 categories. The first category is your emergency funds account. In this account, you want to have at least $1,000 minimum for emergencies only. This is if your car was to break down, if you needed to change a tire on your car, or needed to replace or fix something in your home. You always want to make sure that you borrow from yourself. So if you take money from that emergency fund account, you want to make sure you pay yourself back. The second account is your short-term goal account. And in this account, you want to save for things like family vacations, or a down payment for a mortgage, or a down payment for a new vehicle. Whatever your short-term goals are, this is where you want to categorize that money. And then the last one is one that we don't often think about until we're there, which is retirement. And here you can go different ways. There's a ton of options out there. You could invest in a 401k, a Roth IRA, mutual funds. It just really depends on what is available to you. I know that some employers do offer 401ks and they have the matching plan. So I would ask your employer and see what kind of retirement options they have available for you. Now, you're probably thinking, if I'm in debt, how am I going to be depositing funds into this account or into these accounts, right? So what you want to do is, I mentioned earlier, you want to pay yourself first. You want to pay yourself anywhere from 10 to 20%. And that's what the experts typically say. And I know that we can't all commit to saving 10 to 20% of our income, but commit yourself to at least saving an X amount of dollars every single month. For easy numbers, let's just say that you commit yourself to saving at least $100 a month. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that $100, and out of that $100, $50 will be going into our emergency fund account, because that's the account that you want to build up the fastest. And then you want to divide the other $50 into $25. And so $25 will be going into your short-term goal account. And then $25 can go into your long-term savings account. Once you have reached your goal for your emergency fund account, you want to take that money and you want to apply it to your short-term goal account. Slowly build that up. Once you've reached your goal, you can alternate between the two. Credit utilization, understanding your FICO score. Now, FICO scores are calculated using different pieces of credit data on your credit report. This data is grouped into 5 different categories. 35% of your FICO score is made up from your payment history. 30% is the amounts that are owed. 15% is the length of credit history. 10% is new credit, and the remaining 10% is new credit. So before I go into depth about the FICO scores and just breaking everything down for you guys, I just wanted to address some misconceptions out there about credit and banks. I know there's a lot of negativity that surrounds those topics, and I used to be one of those people. And the reason for that is I fell into a lot of the money management traps that there are out there, and I went into debt at a really young age, and I filed for bankruptcy. You name it, I've been through it. And so it took me a very long time to build my trust back up so that I could trust the bank, and it took a lot of learning. So if you don't make an effort to build or rebuild your credit, it's gonna cost you more money if you don't have a good credit score, and the higher interest rates you will pay, more money you will spend, and even worse, you may not even get approved for loans when you may need them. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you run your credit at least once a year. You are entitled to a free credit report every single year, and you can just go onto Google and type free credit report, and you will get hundreds of links. And just to make sure that you don't sign up for any subscriptions, you just want your free credit report. So once you get your free credit report and you have it in front of you, what you want to do is you want to find all the negative marks. Now, again, this makes up 35% of your credit score. So what you want to look for are things like not enough credit, late payments, accounts that you may have in collections, accounts that may be maxed out like credit cards, and foreclosure and bankruptcy. Collections. Collections stay on your credit for up to 7 years. Now, this occurs when your account is over 150 days late. What you want to do with these is you want to look for any errors, make sure that everything is accurate, and try to settle or pay off these accounts. Now, when you're negotiating, make sure that they agree to remove it off your credit because it can stay on your credit. If you're trying to settle on a debt, you can ask for the account to be removed from collections and to be given back to the original lender, and you can negotiate with the original lender. It doesn't always happen, but I have seen cases where it has happened. Bankruptcy and foreclosures. This stays on your credit from anywhere 7 to 10 years, and removal is extremely difficult. After 2 years, what I would do is look for any errors you may be able to dispute, but there's really not much you can do with bankruptcy and foreclosure. What you want to do is work around it by improving everything else. And if that's something that you're thinking about, maybe debt consolidation might be your best option. So you've got zero credit. First thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a secured credit card. Now, a secured credit card does require a security deposit, and that will range anywhere from $300 to $500, which is not a whole lot. But after 12 months, you'll get your deposit back, and make sure that when you are applying for any of these secured credit cards, you don't have any annual fees associated with these cards. I have come to find that Discover Card and usually local credit unions are really good about providing these cards out to people in the community. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you pay the card off on time every single month. Only charge minimum amounts such as gas. Charge what you can afford to pay off. Try not to carry any balances, and remember, do not exceed 30% of the line of credit. Okay? Credit history isn't built overnight. It's something that it takes time, and this can take 6 to 7 months before you start noticing any differences or any changes to your credit. Remember, building your credit history doesn't happen overnight. It can take anywhere from 6 to 7 months before you'll start to notice any changes in your credit. After the 6 to 7 months, you can apply for an unsecured credit card, and do not get discouraged if that line of credit is $200, $300. It happens. As you prove yourself to the banks, they will slowly start increasing your line of credit, and you can slowly start adding more credit cards. Usually the more lines of credit, the higher your score will be, and this is because it shows that you have multiple lines of credit available to you, and it shows the banks that you are responsible and will be more willing to lend you more money. Again, just follow those tips that I gave you with credit utilization. Keep it under 30%. That will help your score tremendously. Everybody's situation is different. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know it's a lot to cover in a short video. I hope that you were able to take something from this, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you. Welcome everybody to Money Management Part 2. In this
session, we are going to be going over short-term goals and long-term goals, creating a budget, building your emergency fund, paying off costly credit card debt, and how to borrow smart. Our first lesson, setting short-term and long-term goals. Now, budgeting financial security is an ongoing juggle act. Some of the money balls you have in the air are going to be goals that you want to reach as soon as possible. Other goals might have an end date that is a decade or decades off, but require starting sooner rather than later. Creating a master list of all your goals is a smart first step. It is always easier to plot a course of action when you are clear on what you're looking to achieve. It's up to you whether you want your list to be short or long or filled with short-term or long-term goals. And whether it's on a spreadsheet or you use a pencil and paper, just make sure you give yourself some time to really think it through and set these goals. Possibilities that you might want to consider on short-term goals is build an emergency fund that can cover at least 3 months of living expenses. Keep your new credit card charges limited to what you can pay off in full each month, and create and follow a budget, pay off existing credit card balances. And for setting long-term goals, you want to save at least 10% of your gross salary every year for your retirement. Maybe you want to save for a down payment on a home or even for your child's education, which is a great tax advantage if you choose a 529 plan. The second lesson is creating a budget. It's not exactly an attractive topic, but creating a budget happens to be one of the most important steps that makes every other financial goal reachable. You want to account for all of your income, track your expenses, and distribute your funds appropriately. Remember, a budget is a line item accounting for all of your income. Your salary, maybe getting a side job. The whole purpose of a budget is to lay everything out in front of you so you can see where everything is going and make some tweaks if you're not currently on the course to meet your goals. The goal is to spend 50% of your after-tax income on essentials, such as your rent, your mortgage, food, car payments. 30% on other needed expenses, say phone bills, streaming plans, nice haves such as dining out. The final 20% is for savings, building your emergency reserves, stocking away money for retirement, and saving up enough funds for a down payment on a house or your next car. If your own pie chart looks wildly different than either approach, that's your cue to spend some time on considering how to adjust your spending or increase your income. Perhaps you might need to get a side job or push for a promotion or push for that raise that you've been thinking about. And that will get you on a solid path that helps you meet your short-term and long-term goals. So we have the third lesson, building an emergency fund. Okay, so you likely don't need any convincing that having some money tucked away for life's endless stream of financial curveballs, such as a pandemic layoff, a deductible for an MRI on that knee you hurt, replacing whatever the mechanic tells you the reason your car is acting up. Perhaps it's the ultimate money stressor. But how to create your safety cushion. You've got plenty of stressed out company. A survey by Bankrate.com found out that 60% of people say they don't have enough money saved to cover a $1,000 emergency bill. And $1,000 isn't even enough. Bankrate said that among the surveyed participants who had an emergency in 2019, the average tab was $3,500. Building an emergency savings fund starts with setting a goal on how much protection you want to build. At a minimum, it's smart to have at least 3 months worth of living expenses saved in an emergency account. 6 months is even better. The best way to achieve this is to open a separate bank account or credit union savings account that is designated as your emergency fund. Pay yourself first, 10 to 20%. Set up your savings accounts and distribute those funds as soon as you get paid. We talked about building your emergency fund. You want to have at least $1,000 saved. Your short-term goal account should have anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. This could be tailored depending to the person and what the goals are. Then you have your long-term goals, such as retirement, and you want to retire with at least $1.5 million, which I know it's a really high amount to really just think about. But if you're investing in a 401k, you have the interest rates that will accumulate throughout the years, and it will help you. So let's say you want to commit to saving $100 on a monthly basis. The way you want to distribute your $100 is you want to build up that emergency fund first. So you want to apply the most money to this account. So we're going to say you're going to put $50 towards your emergency fund account. Then $25 to your short-term goal account, and the remaining $25 to your long-term goal account, because we don't want to forget about that. Once you've reached your goal of the $1,000 in your emergency fund, what you can do is you can take that $50 and you can apply it to your short-term goal account. Once you've reached your goal in your short-term goal account, you can apply it to your long-term goals. Always save your $100. Never get out of that. So our fourth lesson, paying off costly credit card debt. Paying off high-rate debt is one of the biggest investment moves, and the average 17% interest rate charged on unpaid credit card balances is a big roadblock to building financial security. You might want to consider checking if you qualify for a balance transfer deal to a new card that will waive your interest payments for an initial period. With the snowball strategy, you will send your extra monthly payments to a card with the smallest unpaid balance by focusing on the card with the smallest balance and get it paid off faster. I'm going to show you the snowball debt payoff method, and you'll see listed a credit card, 2 auto loans, another credit card, and a student loan. This method could be used in many ways. So most people will make the minimum payment. Sometimes they will like to throw in an extra $50 payment towards a balance that's a little bit higher. Or let's just say that you really want to commit yourself to paying this debt off and you decide to get an extra job, or you find room to balance some of your bills and you find some extra money. Let's say you find an extra $50 or an extra $100. What you want to do is you want to take the extra $50 and you want to apply it to your smallest balance on top of the payment that you are already making. You pay it and you keep doing that until your balance is paid off. Once that balance is paid off, most people will go out and build some more debt. You don't want to do that. you want to take that minimum payment that you were making along with that extra payment that you were able to make, and you apply it to the next loan. Our fifth lesson, borrow smart. So at some point, you are going to be taking out a loan or a credit card. Remember, borrow only what you truly need. Your goal should always be to borrow as little as possible to meet your goal. Look at the offered interest rate and think about your monthly payment. Big ticket purchases typically involve taking out a loan. The house you want to buy or the cars you want to drive, the key is to building financial security is to borrow only what you need. And it can get tricky because right when you're looking to buy a house or a car, the lenders are focused on telling you the maximum amount that you're allowed to borrow. No one is going to look at you in the eye and suggest that you borrow less. Lenders have no clue or interest in how the loan they are dangling in front of you impacts your ability to meet all your other goals. That is on you. The goal should always be to borrow as little as possible to meet your goal. The less you borrow, the more money you have for other goals. If you need a car, okay, you don't need a new tricked out car with every premium package. Might your financial life benefit from considering less expensive model? The bedroom home that was $100,000 more than a 3-bedroom, or consider a slightly longer commute, which can also be a big money saver. Once you determine the maximum borrowing budget, doing some advanced prep work to get your credit score as high as possible can qualify you for save money, build wealth, and stop living paycheck to paycheck. I'm going to go over some of the biggest mistakes that I see when sitting down with people. The number one thing that people spend money on is eating out. Most people spend on an average between $300 to $500. I've seen upwards $800 to $1,000. The second biggest mistake is retail therapy. Stop shopping emotionally. The third thing, after you start saving, try opening an account you can't spend money from. When you are pre-approved for a loan, don't spend the maximum amount. And the fifth thing, stop upgrading your stuff for the sake. Save money and split your payments up. Most loans nowadays earn interest on a daily basis called a per diem. This means every time you make a loan payment, the first part of that payment is going towards interest that was accrued since your last payment. By paying multiple times a month, you are allowing less interest to occur between each payment. That means the more money is going towards the principal balance. And that means the entire interest that accrues during the duration of your loan goes drastically down, and that is because your per diem is based on your principal balance of your loan. If your principal balance shrinks, so does your per diem. So if you were to split your minimum payment twice a month, you would pay off your balance as 6 to 8 months sooner. And I usually would recommend this towards the principal of your loan because the less interest you pay, the more money you save. Your first part of the payment should be made at least 20 to 25 days before your actual due date. The second part of your minimum. Remember, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and don't think things could ever change and you're never going to build up your savings, you are right. If you are living paycheck to paycheck and think and believe that things can change and things will get better eventually, you are also right. Your mentality dictates the majority of your reality. I hope you guys were able to learn some tips. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day.